Hi, and welcome back to this tutorial series. This one is on plagiarism and citation. Plagiarism is defined as using other people's words or ideas without proper credit. And it's something that is against the code of conduct for students at It's something that's usually mentioned in professors' syllabi as a thing to definitely be avoided. With varying consequences. It's a concern a lot of professors and instructors have of students, and it's a concern a lot of students have when they're doing their academic research and writing, that they might inadvertently commit plagiarism or not cite something properly. So, in order to avoid all this stress, there's a few tips we can take. There's a few steps we can try out. And some tools that we can use to avoid concerns on issues of plagiarism. The very first and best tip that I have for you is to take good notes of everything you come across, including images that you might use later in your research project. If you're using library resources, you can usually very easily email copies of articles or information about books or other things to yourself, and just keep a folder in your email, or even just keep all the collections of stuff in your email for the whole semester if you want. Whatever works best for you, but save that stuff. When I'm working on a writing project, I actually like to print things out because I'm kind of old school that way, and just keep the paper copies of things in a folder along with jotted notes about what I might want to quote and how I might want to use those quotes. That works really well for me, but again, I'm pretty old-fashioned. You could use a Word document where you can cut and paste things, and sometimes this makes it easy to assemble into a final research project, but just keep with all of your notes information about where you found ideas. And if you ever are in a situation where you found this quote or this idea somewhere else, but you don't know where, come to the library and we'll see what we can do. Sometimes we can track those things down for you. But the best and first tip, of course, is to keep good notes. Keep track of these things for yourself. And this is a process that you'll learn and develop as a scholarly writer throughout your college career for sure. And going beyond into any professional writing that you do, you'll figure out what works for you and adopt it. If you ever have any questions, like I said, about where an idea came from, you can come to the library. If you have questions about how to put someone's thoughts or ideas into a project correctly via citations, you can ask here at the library, you can ask at the Academic Support Center, you can ask at the Writing Center, and you can ask your instructor. You have a lot of resources. But one question that comes up pretty regularly is, when do I cite? What tells me that I have to cite something? What tells me that it's fair use, it's common knowledge, all that sort of good stuff? This flowchart simplifies it pretty well. If you're using another person's words, you definitely quote with quote marks and cite in a bibliography. If you're using another person's ideas, then you will cite it, and that's the idea of paraphrasing. We're going to talk a little bit about that, if you take somebody's ideas and put it in your own words. If you're not using another person's words, if you're not using another person's ideas, if it came solely out of your own head, it's a synthesis of things you've read, or you've just come up with it on your own, then you don't need to cite. And again, this is a situation that you can discuss with your instructor, with Academic Support Center, with Writing Center, with us in the library, if you're not sure how gray that area is. And sometimes with the center there, with other people's ideas, things can get a little gray. But we're here to help when those gray areas come up. One thing that can help you with paraphrasing, if you find yourself using these signal phrases in your writing, so-and-so acknowledges that, so-and-so agrees that, so-and-so argues that, so-and-so demonstrates that, then you're signaling to your reader and to yourself that you're using somebody else's ideas. So it's a pretty obvious clue, and this also, I should say, really helps your instructor know that you're paraphrasing and they'll know that they need to look for that citation. They'll know that this didn't come out of your own head. This can head off concerns about plagiarism if you make it very clear that ideas come from somewhere else. So these signal phrases, and there's going to be a link that you can go to with a whole list of them, can help both you and your instructor with concerns about paraphrasing. That's really one of the most common concerns we see in the library when it comes to citing, is how do I make it clear I'm not using others' ideas, and how do I make it more fluid? How do I make it sound better? Along with those signal phrases for paraphrasing, there's signal phrases for quoting. And again, this makes your writing sound more fluid. It just sounds better if you say, so-and-so states, quote mark, blah, 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 according to so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. So-and-so agrees when she writes, blah, blah, blah. So this obviously, beyond the quote marks, makes it clear that you're using somebody else's ideas, and they're actual direct words. So it sounds more natural. It's easier for your readers to identify. It still uses quote marks, which is how a lot of entering college students think they indicate quotes, but these phrases make it sound a lot more fluid. It sounds a lot nicer. The idea of how to quote is really not that difficult. Most college people get it by this point, but the fluidity, the writing, is the harder part. So again, look at that signal phrases handout that's going to be linked to this video to get some ideas of ways to write it in a more natural way. All right, citing, I should say, within a document is what gives students a lot of concerns as well. And there's a lot of guides to this. This is from the library's guide, which is not the best guide ever, I must admit. I'll give you some links to guides that are a lot more thorough and helpful, but it gives you good examples. With college citations, part of the concern is this thing called parentheticals, and you can see some examples here of where it says quotation number 1. Author's name is Mila. Mila, parentheses, the year that this person said this, then a quote. And then at the end of the quote, there's quotation marks, parentheses, page number, period. That's what's meant by parenthetical citation. And that's the kind of citation your instructor is most likely going to want to see within your paper, and then a standard bibliography at the end. Again, you've got resources that can help you pull this together. No one expects you to know how to do this on your own. ASC, Writing Center, Library, we can all help you figure this out, especially the first few times you do it. But you just need to practice it in order to become competent at it and see a lot of examples of it. So we've got some quotations here with page numbers and years. Those are the common elements. Page number, year, author are the elements of the parenthetical. These will appear as well with paraphrasing. You won't have the quote marks, that's the only difference. So if we look at the middle one, the author stated the effect disappeared within minutes. So if you rephrase that as the author stated the effect wasn't seen after 5 minutes. That's not exactly what she said, but it's close enough for a paraphrase. You'd have that and then the parenthetical as it's listed there, but no quote marks. The parenthetical will be present whether or not it's a direct quote, is what I'm trying to say. And the parenthetical will be present every time you use information that did not come out of your own head. For the bibliography, at the end of each one of these tutorials, I've had a short bibliography of the photo credits. Like I mentioned at the beginning, images are something that you will need to cite just as much as any written word. This is an example of APA format. I've done this enough that I can just kind of do them after, Lord, almost 20 years. But for you folks who are just starting out, you're going to obviously need guides. There's linked guides to this video. The library website has one. There's one called the Online Writing Lab that you can Google up and find a really great guide. There's a website that does citations for you called citationmachine.net. That can be very handy as well. So don't strain yourself. Don't get frustrated. Don't get upset. Remember your resources. You've got the library, you've got Writing Center, you've got Academic Support Center, you've got your instructor. We just want to give credit where credit is due. And this makes your writing stronger because you're showing how you've read others' ideas and synthesized them into your own thoughts, the whole point of education. We're really all on your side, and hopefully these tools will make a frustrating process a lot easier for you.